Princess stood in the grand hall of her father's palace and looked at the human with complete disappointment. He was not tall. He was not strong. He did not have the muscles of a warrior or the sharp eyes of a killer. He just stood there with his hands behind his back and his face calm like he was waiting for a bus. "This is my new bodyguard," asked her father. She did not hide the anger in her voice. "A human." Emperor sat on his throne and smiled at his daughter. His blue skin wrinkled around his eyes the way it always did when he found something funny. "His name is Ho. He comes with the highest recommendation from the Human Alliance." "He looks like he would fall over if I pushed him," said. She was not being quiet. She wanted the human to hear her. She wanted him to feel small. Ho did not react. He just stood there with that same calm face. His dark eyes looked at nothing and everything at the same time. He wore simple black clothes with no armor. He carried no visible weapons. His black hair was cut short and neat. Was a princess of the empire. Her people were tall and strong. Their skin was blue like the deep ocean, and their eyes glowed with soft golden light. They ruled over 40 star systems. They had warriors who could break metal with their bare hands. And now her father wanted her to trust her life to this small, quiet human. "Father, I have Commander and his elite guard," said. She pointed to the 5 massive warriors who stood along the wall. Each one was over 7 feet tall. Each one wore armor made from the strongest metals in the galaxy. Each one had killed more enemies than they could count. "Why do I need this? This novice?" "The diplomatic mission to the system is dangerous," Emperor said. His voice became serious. "You will pass through neutral space. You will visit worlds where our warriors are not welcome. You need someone who can blend in, someone who will not attract attention. So you give me someone who cannot fight. I give you someone who survived 3 years on 9. Stop talking. 9 was a death world. It was a planet where everything wanted to kill you. The plants were poison. The animals were monsters. The very air could burn your lungs if you breathed too deep. No had ever survived more than 6 months there. She looked at Ho again. He still had not moved. He still had not spoken. He just stood there like a statue made of flesh. 3 years, she asked. 3 years, 2 months, and 14 days, her father said. His ship crashed when he was young. He was alone. He survived until rescue came. Did not know what to say. She looked at the human with new eyes, but she still could not see what made him special. He was just a man. A small, quiet, boring man. I still do not want him, she said. That is not your choice to make, her father replied. His voice was final. Ho will join your guard. He will stay close to you at all times. You will listen to him when he speaks. This is my command. Wanted to argue more, but she knew her father. When he used that voice, there was no changing his mind. She turned to face the human directly. She walked toward him until they were only a few feet apart. She was taller than him by almost a full head. She looked down at him with all the pride of her royal blood. If you slow me down, I will leave you behind, she said. Ho finally moved. He gave a small nod. When he spoke, his voice was soft and calm. I understand, princess. That was all he said. He did not try to prove himself. He did not make promises. He did not seem scared or angry or anything at all. He just accepted her words and stood there waiting. Turned away from him with a sound of frustration. She walked to Commander, her true protector. Keep an eye on the human, she said quietly. I do not trust him. Nodded, his golden eyes looked at Ho with the same doubt that felt. He will not be a problem, princess. If he becomes one, I will handle it. The next morning they left for the system. The royal shuttle was large and beautiful. It had rooms for the princess, quarters for the guards, and a command deck where the pilots worked. Stayed in her private chambers for most of the journey. She did not want to see the human more than she had to. But she noticed things, small things that made her curious against her will. Ho did not sleep in the guards' quarters. He slept in a small storage room near her door. When she asked about it, the commander said the human had chosen that spot himself. He had not asked permission. He had just moved his things there and made a bed on the floor. Ho did not eat with the other guards. He ate small meals alone and always finished quickly. He never drank alcohol. He never laughed at jokes. He never joined conversations. The guards did not like him. They called him the ghost because he moved so quietly. They made jokes about his size. They wondered out loud how a creature so weak had survived on 9. Maybe he had hidden in a cave, they said. Maybe the story was a lie. Ho never responded to their words. He just watched and waited and said nothing. On the 3rd day of the journey, could not take her curiosity anymore. She found Ho standing outside her door like he always did. She stopped in front of him and crossed her arms. "Why did you take this job?" she asked. Ho looked at her. His dark eyes were deep and hard to read. "Your father asked me to." "That is not an answer. Why did you say yes?" "Because he asked." Felt her frustration grow. "Do you always speak in circles?" "No." She waited for him to say more. He did not. "What did you do on 9?" she asked. "How did you survive?" "I learned," Ho said. "Learned what?" "What it means to be prey, what it means to be a predator, the difference between the two." Did not understand his words. "And which one are you?" Ho was quiet for a long moment. Then he gave a small smile. It was the first expression she had seen on his face since they met, but it was not a happy smile. It was something else, something that made her feel strange inside. "I am whatever I need to be," he said. Before could ask another question, the ship shook hard. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Commander's voice came over the speakers. "All hands to battle stations. We are under attack." Ran toward the command deck. Ho moved beside her. She had not even seen him start running, but suddenly he was there, matching her speed perfectly. When they reached the command deck, the situation was bad. Through the large windows, could see 3 ships attacking them. They were fast and dangerous. They fired weapons that made the shields flash with each hit. "Pirates," said. His face was grim. "They came out of nowhere. Our shields are failing." "Can we fight them?" asked. "We are a diplomatic ship, Princess. We have limited weapons," pointed to the navigation display. "But there is a planet nearby. If we can reach it, we can land and hide until help arrives." "Do it," commanded. The pilots worked fast. The ship turned and flew toward the planet. The pirates followed, still firing. More alarms sounded as systems started to fail. "What planet is this?" asked. One of the pilots checked his screen. His face went pale. "7, Princess." Felt her blood turn cold. She knew that name. Everyone knew that name. 7 was like 9. It was a death world, a planet where only monsters lived. "Find another planet," she said. "There is no time, Princess. We have to land now or we will die in space." The ship shook again. Something exploded in the back. Smoke filled the hallways. Looked at Ho. For the first time, she wanted to know what he was thinking, but his face was still calm. He watched the planet growing larger in the window like he was looking at a painting. "You survived one death world," she said to him. "Can you survive another?" Ho turned his head to look at her. His dark eyes met her golden ones. "The question, Princess, is whether you can." The ship entered the planet's atmosphere. Fire surrounded them as they fell. The ground came closer and closer, grabbed onto a rail and held tight. She heard her guards shouting. She heard metal screaming. She heard her own heart beating so loud it filled her ears. Then they hit the ground, and everything went black. When opened her eyes, she saw green. Thick green plants surrounded the crashed ship. Strange sounds filled the air. Sounds of animals, sounds of danger. She was alive, but she was also trapped on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. And her only hope might be the small, quiet human she had called a novice. Pushed herself up from the floor of the crashed ship. Her body hurt everywhere. Her head was bleeding from a small cut above her eye, but she was alive. That was what mattered. The ship was broken. Smoke came from dozens of places. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead snakes. The lights flickered on and off, making shadows dance across the walls. Half of the command deck was gone, torn away during the crash. Commander called out. A groan came from somewhere to her left. She moved toward the sound and found lying under a piece of metal. She grabbed it and pulled with all her strength. The metal moved just enough for the commander to crawl out. Princess said. His voice was weak. His left arm hung at a bad angle, clearly broken. Are you hurt? I am fine. What about the others? They searched the ship together. 2 of the pilots were dead. 3 of the guards had survived, but one had a deep wound in his leg that would not stop bleeding. They found medical supplies and wrapped the wound as best they could. Ho appeared from the back of the ship. His clothes were torn and dirty, but he did not seem injured at all. He moved through the wreckage like he had done this many times before. The back of the ship is destroyed, he reported. His voice was the same as always, calm, quiet. Life support will fail in a few hours. We cannot stay here. We cannot go outside either, said. This is 7. Every creature on this planet is a killer. Then we die here or we die out there, Ho replied. At least out there we have a chance. What chance? We have 1 wounded guard, 1 guard with a broken arm, and a princess to protect. We have limited weapons and no map of this world. Ho walked to a broken computer screen and pressed some buttons. After a moment, a flickering map appeared. According to the ship's records, there is an old research station 30 kilometers east. If it is still standing, it will have communications equipment. We can call for rescue. 30 kilometers through a death world, said. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. We will not make it 5. You have another plan, Commander. Opened his mouth to argue, but nothing came out. He did not have another plan. None of them did. Looked at the map. 30 kilometers was a long distance. On a normal world, it would be a simple journey. On 7, it might as well be a trip to the other side of the galaxy. But Ho was right. They could not stay in the ship. We go, said. She used her royal voice, the one that did not allow argument. Gather whatever supplies we can carry. Food, water, weapons, medicine. We leave in 1 hour. The guards moved to follow her command. Even nodded and went to help, though his face showed that he thought they were all going to die. Ho stayed where he was. He was looking at the map like he was memorizing every detail. Walked to him. You survived on a planet like this before, she said quietly. Tell me the truth. Can we make it? Ho turned off the map. He looked at her with those dark, empty eyes. 9 was different. I was alone. I did not have others to protect. That is not an answer. I know. Grabbed his arm. She wanted him to look at her. She wanted to see something in his face that would give her hope. My people are depending on me. I need to know if we have a chance. Ho looked down at her hand on his arm. Then he looked at her face. For a moment, something moved in his eyes. Something deep and old and dangerous. Then it was gone. Stay close to me, he said. Do exactly what I say. Do not run unless I tell you to run. Do not fight unless I tell you to fight. If you can do that, you will live. And if I cannot, then you will die, and there is nothing I can do to save you. His words were cold and hard. They did not comfort her, but they were honest, and right now needed honesty more than comfort. They left the ship 1 hour later, carried a small pack with food and water, and the 2 healthy guards carried weapons and more supplies. The wounded guard, whose name was, walked with help from one of the others. He was in pain, but he refused to stay behind. Ho led the way. He moved differently outside the ship. Inside, he had been still and quiet. Outside, he was alert and alive. His eyes moved constantly, looking at everything. His body was low and ready. He reminded of a hunting animal, always watching for prey and predators. The jungle around them was thick and dark. Giant trees blocked most of the sunlight. Strange plants with bright colors grew everywhere. Some of them moved even though there was no wind. Stayed away from those. The sounds were the worst part. There were always sounds, screams and roars and clicking noises that came from the shadows. Things were watching them, could feel eyes on her skin. She could not see the creatures, but she knew they were there. "Why are they not attacking?" she whispered to Ho. "They are studying us," he replied. His voice was barely louder than a breath. "Learning what we are, deciding if we are worth the effort." "And are we?" "We will find out soon." They walked for 3 hours before they had to stop. Was getting worse. His wound was red and hot. Infection was setting in fast. "We need to rest," said. "He cannot go on like this." Ho then he looked at the jungle around them. His eyes stopped at a place where 2 large rocks formed a small cave. "There," he said, "we can defend that position, rest for 1 hour, no more." They moved to the rocks. The 2 healthy guards took positions at the entrance, their weapons ready, sat down and closed his eyes. His broken arm was causing him great pain, but he did not complain. Sat next to and tried to make him comfortable. The guard was shaking. His blue skin had turned gray. He was dying and they all knew it. "Princess," said, his voice was weak, "I am sorry I cannot protect you." "You have nothing to be sorry for," told him. "You have served me well." The human whispered, "I was wrong about him. There is something in his eyes, something I have seen before." "What do you mean?" "On the battlefield there are 2 types of warriors. The ones who fight because they have to, and the ones who were born to kill. The human is the second type. I did not see it before, but I see it now." Looked at Ho. He was standing at the edge of the cave, looking out at the jungle. He did not move. He did not speak. He just watched. "Rest now," she told. "Save your strength." But did not hear her. His eyes had closed. His breathing had stopped. The guard was dead. Felt tears in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. She was a princess. She had to be strong. She reached out and closed his eyes gently. "We have to move," Ho said from the entrance. "We just stopped," replied. His voice was angry. "We have a dead warrior here. Show some respect." The blood from his wound has attracted predators. They are coming. We move now or we die with him. Stood up fast. "How dare you speak of my guard like that? He gave his life for the princess. And his death will mean nothing if we stay here." Grabbed his weapon and pointed it at Ho. "I am tired of taking orders from you, human. You are nothing. A novice playing soldier. My warriors are worth 10 of you." Ho did not move. He did not reach for a weapon. He just looked at with those dark, calm eyes. "Commander," he said softly, "there are 12 creatures in the trees around us. They have been watching us since we stopped. They are waiting for the right moment to attack. If we fight each other, that moment will come. Put down your weapon. Honor your dead warrior by keeping the princess alive." His hand shook. His golden eyes burned with anger, but slowly he lowered his weapon. "How do you know there are 12? He asked. "Because I have been counting them." The group moved quickly after that. They left his body in the cave. There was no time for a proper burial. Said a quick prayer to her ancestors and followed the others into the jungle. The rest of the day was hard. They crossed rivers filled with dark water. They climbed hills covered in sharp rocks. They pushed through plants that tried to grab them and pull them down. Every step was a fight. And always, there were sounds in the shadows. As the sun started to set, Ho stopped. He raised his hand for the others to stop too. "What is it?" asked. Ho was looking ahead. His body had gone very still. "We have a problem." Followed his gaze. At first she saw nothing but trees and shadows. Then the shadows moved. They were not shadows at all. They were creatures. Large creatures with 6 legs and black skin and teeth that glowed white in the fading light. There were 5 of them. They stood in a line across the path like a wall of death. Whispered, His voice was filled with fear. The apex predators of 7, nothing survives a fight with them. They did not attack. They just stood there, watching with red eyes that seemed to see into soul. "What do we do?" she asked. Ho was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that made everyone stare. He started walking forward. "What are you doing?" hissed. "They will kill you." Ho did not stop. He walked toward them with slow, steady steps, no weapon in his hands, no fear on his face. They watched him come. Their red eyes followed his every movement, their lips pulled back to show more of their terrible teeth. Ho stopped 10 feet from the largest. Man and beast looked at each other. The jungle went silent. Even the constant sounds of danger stopped. Everything was holding its breath. Then the largest did something impossible. It stepped back. The others stepped back too. One by one they moved off the path. They lowered their heads. They looked away from Ho like they could not meet his eyes. Ho turned and looked at. "The path is clear, princess." Could not move. She could not speak. She had just watched the most dangerous creatures on this planet bow to a human, a small, quiet human who she had called a novice. How? She finally managed to ask. Ho's answer was simple. "I asked them to move." He turned and continued walking down the path. They stayed where they were, still looking away, still refusing to meet the eyes of the human who had passed them. Followed him. Her mind was filled with questions. Her heart was filled with something new. Fear, real fear, not of the planet or its creatures. Fear of the human walking in front of her. The group walked in silence after they moved away. Nobody spoke. Nobody could find the words to describe what they had seen. The most dangerous predators on 7 had stepped aside for a human. It was impossible. It made no sense. Yet it had happened right in front of their eyes. Walked behind Ho. She watched him move through the jungle like he belonged there. Every step was careful. Every movement was planned. He was not afraid of this world. This world was afraid of him. Who was this man? What was he? As darkness fell over the jungle, Ho found a place for them to camp. It was a small clearing surrounded by thick trees. A stream ran along one side, giving them fresh water. "We stop here for the night," Ho said. "No fires, no loud sounds, sleep in shifts." "Why no fires?" one of the guards asked. His name was, he was young and still alive only because he was fast. "Fire keeps predators away." "Not on this world," Ho replied. "Here, fire attracts the things that eat fire." Nobody asked more questions. They ate cold food from their packs and drank water from the stream after Ho tested it, sat on a rock and tried to make her body relax, but it was impossible. Every sound made her jump. Every shadow looked like a monster. Commander sat next to her. His broken arm was wrapped tight against his chest. The pain had turned his blue skin pale, but his golden eyes were still sharp. "I owe you an apology, princess," he said quietly. "For what?" "For doubting your father's choice. I thought the human was useless. I thought he would get us killed, but he saved us today. I have never seen anything like what happened with those." Nodded slowly. "I thought the same things you did. I called him a novice to his face. And now I do not know what to think." They both looked at Ho. He was sitting at the edge of the clearing looking out into the darkness. He had not eaten. He had not drunk any water. He just sat there like a statue, watching and waiting. "What do you think he is?" asked. "He is human, that is all I know. Humans are supposed to be weak. They are supposed to be soft. They live on a peaceful world with blue skies and green plants. They are not built for places like this." "That is what we are told," said. "But maybe we do not know humans as well as we think." The night passed slowly. Tried to sleep, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw the stepping back. She saw the fear in their red eyes, fear of a man who did not even have a weapon in his hands. When morning came, they started walking again. The jungle seemed different in the daylight. The colors were brighter. The sounds were louder. The danger felt more real because they could actually see what might kill them. They had been walking for 2 hours when Ho suddenly stopped. He held up his hand for silence. "What is it?" whispered. "Something ahead, something big." They crept forward slowly. Through the trees, could see another clearing. In the middle of the clearing was a creature unlike anything she had ever seen. It was massive, as tall as a building. Its body was covered in plates of bone that looked stronger than metal. It had a head like a hammer with a mouth big enough to swallow a shuttle. It stood on 4 legs that looked like pillars of stone. Said, his voice was shaking. "I have seen pictures, they call it the walking fortress. Nothing can hurt it, nothing can stop it." There was eating. It had torn a tree from the ground and was chewing on the trunk like it was a snack. Each bite made a sound like thunder. "We go around," said. "We cannot fight that thing." "Going around will add 6 hours to our journey," Ho said. "The wounded guard will not make it that long." Everyone looked at the second guard, whose name was Nara. He was not as badly hurt as had been, but his leg was getting worse. Every step was hard for him. His face was covered in sweat. "Then what do we do?" asked. Ho looked at He studied it like he was solving a puzzle. His dark eyes moved over every part of its massive body. "Wait here," he said. Before anyone could stop him, Ho walked into the clearing. "No," hissed. She tried to grab him, but he was already gone. The noticed him immediately. It stopped eating. Its huge head turned toward the small human walking across the open ground. A sound came from its throat, a deep rumble that could feel in her chest. Ho kept walking. They took a step toward him. The ground shook, trees fell, birds flew screaming into the sky. Ho kept walking. The creature lowered its hammer head. Its mouth opened. Could see rows of teeth that could crush metal. She could see the dark tunnel of its throat. She was about to watch a man die. Then Ho stopped. He stood in front of the monster and looked up at it. He did not run. He did not scream. He just stood there. And then he did something strange. He tilted his head to the side and made a sound. A low, rumbling sound that came from deep in his chest. It was almost like a growl, but not quite. It was something older, something that spoke a language beyond words. The went still. Its massive body froze in place. Its huge eyes locked onto Ho like it was seeing him for the first time. The rumble in its throat changed. It went from a warning to something else, something that sounded almost like a question. Ho made the sound again, longer this time, more complex. It pulled its head back. It closed its mouth. It looked at Ho for a long, long moment. Then it turned and walked away. The ground shook with each step until the creature disappeared into the thick jungle. Realized she had forgotten to breathe. She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Her hands were shaking. Ho turned and waved for them to follow. "The path is clear." They crossed the clearing quickly. Nobody wanted to stay in the open. When they reached, Ho grabbed his arm and pulled him to face her. "What did you do?" she demanded. "What was that sound? How did you make it stop?" Ho looked at her hand on his arm, then he looked at her face. "I spoke to it." "In what language? Creatures like that do not have language." "All predators have a language, princess. It is not made of words. It is made of sounds and movements and looks. It is the language of hunting and killing, the language of life and death. And you know this language." "I learned it. On 9, speaking this language was the only way to survive. The creatures there did not care about words. They only cared about what I was, prey or predator. I had to show them I was not prey." Stepped forward. His face was pale with shock. "So when you walked toward those yesterday, when you walked toward that just now, you were not being brave. You were speaking to them." "Yes." "And what did you say?" Ho was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft and cold. "I told them what I am, and what I will do if they try to hurt what is mine to protect." "What are you?" asked. She had to know. She could not stand not knowing anymore. Ho looked at her with those dark, deep eyes. I am human, princess. That is all. Humans are not like you. Humans are peaceful. Humans are kind. They do not speak to monsters. Humans are what they need to be. On Earth, we are peaceful because we can afford to be. We built a world where we do not need to fight every day to survive. But underneath that peace, we are still what we always were. We are still the creatures that killed every other predator on our world. We are still the things that made gods afraid. Felt a chill run down her spine. Made gods afraid. It is just an old story, do not worry about it. Ho turned and started walking again. We should keep moving. The research station is not far now. But could not stop thinking about his words. Made gods afraid. What kind of creature could make gods afraid? What kind of world created beings like that? The journey continued. They saw more creatures as they walked. A pack of small predators with too many eyes watched them from the trees. A long snake with glowing scales blocked their path for a moment. A flying thing with razor wings circled overhead. None of them attacked. They all watched Ho. They all stayed away from him. Some of them ran when he looked at them directly. Others just froze in place until the group passed. Began to understand something. These creatures were not afraid of the weapons the guards carried. They were not afraid of the warriors with their strength and armor. They were afraid of one small human who moved through their world like he owned it. How long were you on 9 before the creatures stopped attacking you? She asked Ho. 4 months, he replied. 4 months? What happened during those 4 months? I fought, I killed. I showed them what happens when they tried to make me prey. And after 4 months, they learned, the ones that were still alive, they learned to leave me alone. They learned that I was not worth the cost. Try to imagine it. A young human, alone on a death world, fighting for his life every day for 4 months, killing things that were bigger and stronger and faster than him, showing no fear, showing no mercy, until even the monsters decided he was too dangerous to hunt. It was terrifying and it was sad. How old were you when your ship crashed? She asked. Ho did not answer for a long time. 12, he finally said. Stopped walking, 12 years old, a child. A child had done all those things. A child had become what Ho was now. I am sorry, she said. She meant it. Ho stopped too. He turned to look at her. Something moved in his eyes, something almost human. Why are you sorry? Because no child should have to learn what you learned. No child should have to become what you became. Ho was quiet. His face did not change, but something in his body relaxed. Just a little, just for a moment. Thank you, princess, he said softly. No one has ever said that to me before. He turned and continued walking, but something had changed between them, could feel it. A connection had formed, small and fragile but real. She was beginning to understand Ho, and understanding him made her less afraid. But it also made her sad, because now she knew the price he had paid to become what he was, and that price was everything a child should have been. The research station appeared through the trees an hour later. It was old and broken, but it was still standing. They had made it. But their troubles were not over, because standing in front of the station was something worse than any creature they had faced. Another group of survivors, pirates, the same pirates who had shot them down. And they were waiting. The pirates saw them at the same moment they saw the pirates. Both groups froze. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The jungle sounds continued around them, not caring about the drama happening between the trees. There were 8 pirates. They were a species known for their cruelty. Their skin was gray and covered in small scales. Their eyes were yellow with slits for pupils like snakes. They carried heavy weapons and wore armor marked with blood. The leader of the pirates stepped forward. He was bigger than the others. Scars covered his face like a map of violence. He smiled when he saw, showing teeth that had been sharpened to points. "Well, well," the pirate leader said. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "The princess survived. We thought you died in the crash. We came to find the wreckage and take whatever was valuable, but you are far more valuable than any cargo." Commander moved to stand in front of. His broken arm made him weak, but his golden eyes burned with determination. "You will not touch her." "And who will stop me? You with your shattered bones, your two tired guards, or maybe—" The pirate's yellow eyes moved to Ho. He laughed. "Maybe the little human." The other pirates laughed too. They pointed at Ho and made jokes in their rough language. They did not see a threat. They saw a small, weak creature that would be easy to kill. Ho did not react to their laughter. He stood slightly apart from the group, his body relaxed, his face calm. He watched the pirates the same way he had watched the creatures in the jungle, like he was counting them, like he was making a plan. "Here is what will happen," the pirate leader said. "You will drop your weapons. The princess will come with us. We will sell her back to her father for a price that will make us rich. The rest of you will die here, quick if you cooperate, slow if you do not." "I have a different idea," said. Her voice was strong even though she was afraid inside. "You will leave now. You will fly away from this planet and never come back. If you do this, I will not hunt you down and destroy everything you love." The pirate leader laughed again. "You are in no position to make threats, princess. Look around you. We have you surrounded. We have more weapons. We have more men." "You have nothing," said. "You just do not know it yet." Something in her voice made the pirate leader stop laughing. He looked at her more carefully. Then he looked at her group. His eyes moved from to the guards to Ho. And then something strange happened. One of the pirates behind the leader made a small sound, a sound of fear. "Boss," the pirate said, his voice was shaking. "Boss, look at the trees." Everyone looked, at first saw nothing. Then she understood. The jungle had gone quiet. The constant sounds of creatures had stopped. The shadows between the trees were moving, not toward them, away from them. Every living thing within sight was running from something. Running from Ho. The pirate leader saw it too. His yellow eyes went wide. He looked at Ho with new understanding. "What is that human?" he asked. "Why are the creatures running?" Ho stepped forward. He walked past, he walked past, he walked until he was standing between the princess and the pirates. Alone, unarmed, small. "Leave now," Ho said. His voice was soft. "This is your only warning." "Or what?" The pirate leader tried to sound brave, but his voice cracked. He had seen the creatures run. He had felt something change in the air. Some ancient part of his brain was screaming at him to run too. "There are 8 of us. One of you do not even have a weapon." "I do not need a weapon." The pirate leader looked at his men. They were all staring at Ho. Some of them were shaking. They had survived on a death world for days. They had seen terrible things, but something about this human scared them in a way the monsters had not. "Kill him," the pirate leader ordered. "Kill him now." One of the pirates raised his weapon and fired. The shot was fast and accurate. It should have hit Ho in the chest. But Ho was not there anymore. He moved so fast that could barely see him. One moment he was standing still. The next moment he was beside the pirate who had fired. His hand shot out and grabbed the pirate's throat. There was a crack. The pirate fell down dead. The other pirates started shooting. Their weapons lit up the jungle with bright flashes of light. Smoke and noise filled the air. But Ho was moving. He was always moving. He ducked under shots. He rolled behind trees. He appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Every time he appeared, a pirate died. Watched in shock. She had seen warriors fight before. She had seen the best soldiers in her father's army. None of them moved like Ho moved. None of them killed like Ho killed. He did not fight with strength. He fought with speed and precision. He hit exact points on the body that caused instant death. He used the pirates' own weapons against them. He used their fear against them. In less than a minute, 6 pirates were dead. The pirate leader and one other pirate were still alive. They were running. They ran toward the research station, trying to escape. The pirate leader was screaming something about a ship. They must have had a shuttle hidden nearby. Ho did not chase them. He stood still and watched them run. His clothes were torn. There was blood on his hands, not his blood. "They are getting away," said. "Should we stop them?" Ho shook his head. "They will not get far." A sound came from the jungle ahead, a deep, rumbling sound that recognized. It was the sound they had made, the walking fortress. The two running pirates screamed. There was a flash of movement in the trees, then silence. Ho turned to face the group. His face was still calm. His eyes were still empty. He looked at. "The path to the station is clear now, Princess." Could not move. She could not speak. She had just watched a single human kill 6 armed pirates in less than a minute. She had just seen him move in ways that should have been impossible. She had just learned that he was more dangerous than anything else on this planet. "How?" she finally managed to whisper. Ho understood her question. Humans are persistence predators. We are built to chase, to hunt, to never stop. Our ancestors ran after animals for days until the animals could not run anymore. We do not need to be the fastest or the strongest. We just need to never stop. That was not just persistence. That was what 3 years on a death world teaches you. Speed, focus, the ability to see everything at once, the understanding that hesitation means death. I am not special, Princess. I am just a human who was forced to become what humans were always meant to be. Stepped forward. His face was white with shock. What humans were always meant to be. You speak as if your species is something dangerous. My species is the most dangerous thing in the galaxy, Ho said. His voice was simple and honest. We just do not show it because we do not need to. On Earth, we won. Long ago, we defeated every predator, every threat, every challenge. We became so safe that we forgot what we were. But underneath our cities and our peace and our kindness, we are still the apex predators of our world. We are still the creatures that hunted everything else to extinction. Why does the galaxy not know this? Asked. Because humans are rare. Because Earth is far from the center of galactic civilization. Because we are peaceful and friendly when we have no reason to fight. Most species only see the surface of humanity. They see the kindness, the art, the love. They do not see what lies beneath. They do not see what comes out when we are threatened. And what comes out? Ho looked at her. For a moment, she saw something in his eyes, something ancient and terrible and hungry, something that had been hiding behind his calm face this entire time. "Death," he said, "pure and simple death." The group stood in silence. The jungle sounds were slowly returning. Creatures were moving in the trees again, but they stayed far away from the clearing. They stayed far away from Ho. "We should go inside," Ho said. His voice returned to normal. The thing in his eyes disappeared. He was just a quiet human again. "The communication equipment should still work. We can call for rescue." They walked toward the research station. The doors were old and rusted, but they still opened. Inside, the equipment was dusty but intact, and went to work on the communication system while Ho secured the building. Sat on an old chair and tried to understand everything she had learned. Humans were apex predators. Humans were dangerous beyond imagination, and yet they showed the galaxy only their gentle side, their peaceful side. It was like discovering that the friendly pet in your home was actually a sleeping dragon. Ho came to stand near her. He looked out a window at the jungle beyond. "You are afraid of me now," he said. "Yes," admitted, "a little." "Good, fear keeps you alive." "But I am also grateful. You saved our lives many times." Ho nodded. "That is my job." "No, your job was to protect me. You did more than that. You protected all of us. Even my guards who laughed at you, even who pointed a weapon at you." Ho was quiet for a moment. "On 9, I was alone. I had no one to protect, no one to care about. It was empty. Even when I survived, I felt like I was still dying, just slower." He turned to look at her. Protecting people gives me purpose. It reminds me that I am still human, not just a weapon. Stood up, she walked to him and stood close, close enough to touch. You are not a weapon, she said. You are a person who went through something terrible and survived. That does not make you a monster, that makes you strong. Something changed in Ho's face. The emptiness in his eyes cracked, just a little, just for a moment. She saw pain behind the mask, old, deep pain that he had been carrying for years. Thank you, Princess, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. Reached out and took his hand. It was warm, it was human. It was the hand of a killer and the hand of a protector. My name is, she said, you can use it. Ho looked at their joined hands, then he looked at her face. A small smile appeared on his lips. It was real this time, not cold or empty, just human. He said, trying the name, that is a beautiful name. Before she could respond, his voice called out from the other room. We made contact. A rescue ship is coming. They will be here in 4 hours. Smiled, they were going to survive. They were going to go home. And somehow, she knew that everything would be different now. Her father had been right to send Ho with her. He had known what she needed to learn. Humans were not weak. They were not prey. They were something far more powerful. They were the quiet predators who chose to be kind. The 4 hours of waiting passed slowly. Sat by the window and watched the jungle outside. The creatures of 7 moved through the trees like shadows. She could see them now in a way she could not before. She understood them better. They were predators and prey, all playing an endless game of survival. And somewhere in that game, humans had found their place at the very top. Ho spent the waiting time walking through the old research station. He checked every room. He secured every door. He found old supplies that might be useful and set them aside. He never stopped moving, never stopped watching. Realized this was how he had survived for 3 years on 9. Constant awareness, constant preparation, never relaxing, never assuming he was safe. It was exhausting just to watch him. She could not imagine living like that every day. Commander sat near the communication equipment. His broken arm had been properly wrapped now with supplies from the station. The pain showed on his face, but he did not complain. He was a warrior. He knew how to suffer in silence. Princess said, "May I speak freely?" Nodded, "Of course." I was wrong about the human, about Ho. I thought he was weak because he was small and quiet. I thought his survival on 9 must have been a mistake or a lie. I was a fool. You were not alone in thinking that way. I thought the same things. But you are not a military commander. I am. I should have known better. I have seen many warriors in my life. I have fought beside heroes and legends, but I have never seen anyone like Ho. What he did against those pirates. It was not fighting. It was art. He said humans are persistence predators, that they hunted everything on their world to extinction. Was quiet for a moment. I have studied some human history. I thought their wars were interesting, brutal in a way that is different from other species. They do not fight for territory or resources the way we do. They fight for ideas, for beliefs. They will destroy entire nations over words written on paper. That sounds terrifying. It is, but it is also beautiful in a strange way. They care so deeply about things that cannot be touched or held. Freedom, justice, love. They will die for these words. They will kill for them too. Thought about Ho. She thought about how he protected everyone in their group, even those who mocked him. She thought about the pain in his eyes when she told him he was not a monster. He cared deeply, maybe too deeply. That caring had been buried under years of survival, but it was still there. I think I understand why my father chose him, she said. Why? Because Ho will never stop. He will protect me until his last breath. Not because he is paid to, not because it is his duty, but because that is what humans do for the people they care about. A sound came from outside, the low hum of engines. Through the window could see a ship descending from the sky. It was a rescue vessel, beautiful and strong, painted in the colors of her father's empire. "They are here," announced. He was smiling, they were all smiling. Ho appeared from wherever he had been watching. "We should wait until the ship lands and the soldiers secure the area. The creatures outside will not attack, but we should not take risks." They waited. The ship landed in the clearing where the dead pirates still lay. Soldiers in golden armor poured out and formed a protective circle. The captain of the rescue team spoke into a device and then waved toward the station. "It is safe now," said. "We can go." They walked out of the research station together. The sunlight felt different now, warmer, more welcoming. The jungle that had terrified just hours ago seemed less threatening. It was still dangerous, of course. It was still a death world, but she had survived it. They had all survived it. The captain of the rescue team was a tall woman with silver hair and sharp golden eyes. She bowed when she saw. "Princess," the captain said, "your father was very worried. The entire empire has been searching for you." "I am safe now, Captain, thanks to my guards and my human protector." The captain looked at Ho. Her eyes moved over his small frame and his simple clothes, knew what she was thinking. The same things everyone thought when they first saw him. "The human protected you?" the captain asked. There was doubt in her voice. "The human is the reason we are alive," said firmly. "Remember that." The captain bowed again. "Yes, Princess." They boarded the rescue ship. Medical teams rushed to help Nara with their injuries. Someone brought food and water. Someone else brought clean clothes. The luxury of the ship felt strange after days of survival in the jungle. Found a quiet room and sat down. She was tired, so tired, the kind of tired that goes deeper than muscles and bones, the kind of tired that comes from fear and stress and constant danger. There was a knock on her door. She knew who it was before she said, "Come in." Ho entered. He had cleaned up a little, his face was washed, his clothes were less torn, but his eyes were the same, dark and deep and full of secrets. "The captain wants to debrief you," he said, "but I told her you need to rest first." "Thank you. I also wanted to say goodbye." Sat up. "Goodbye, what do you mean?" "My mission was to protect you on the diplomatic journey. That journey is over now. You are safe. My job is done." "No," said. The word came out faster than she expected. "No, your job is not done." Ho looked confused. It was the first real expression she had seen on his face besides that small smile earlier. "I do not understand." Stood up and walked toward him. "I want you to stay, not just for this mission, permanently. I want you as my personal guard, my protector, for as long as you are willing." That is unusual, to have their own warriors, elite soldiers who have trained their whole lives. "And none of them would have kept me alive on that planet. None of them could do what you did," stopped in front of him. "I have seen what you are, Ho, not the mask you wear for other people, the real you, the predator underneath, and I am not afraid of it anymore." "You should be." "Maybe, but I am also not stupid. I know that having you at my side makes me safer than any army ever could. I know that you will protect me with everything you have. And I know," she paused, looking for the right words, "I know that you need someone to protect. You need a purpose, a reason to stay human instead of becoming just a weapon." Ho was silent. His dark eyes searched her face like he was looking for a lie. He would not find one. "I cannot promise I will always be pleasant," he finally said. "I am not good at talking. I do not know how to smile or laugh or do the things normal people do. 3 years alone on a death world took those things from me." "Then we will find them again, together." Another long silence. Then Ho did something unexpected. He got down on one knee. He bowed his head. "If you will have me, Princess, I will serve you. I will protect you with my life. I will stand between you and any danger, no matter how great. This I swear on my blood and my name." Felt tears in her eyes. She blinked them away. I will have you, Ho, rise, you do not need to kneel to me. He stood, there was something different in his eyes now, something lighter, something almost like hope. What happens now? He asked. Now we go home. My father will want to hear everything that happened. The whole empire will want to know about the human who made apex predators step back. I would prefer if that story stayed quiet. Why? Because humans work better when we are underestimated. When everyone thinks we are weak and harmless, it gives us an advantage. Thought about this. She thought about all the species in the galaxy who saw humans as small and soft, all the predators and conquerors who dismissed them as prey. They had no idea what they were dealing with, no idea what slept beneath the surface of those kind smiles. I understand, she said. We will keep your secrets for now. Thank you. The ship lifted off from 7 and rose into the sky. Through the window, watched the death world get smaller and smaller until it was just a green ball in the darkness of space. She had come to that planet as a princess who thought she understood the galaxy. She left as something else, someone wiser, someone who had seen the truth hidden behind friendly faces and quiet words. Humans were not what they seemed. They were the quiet ones in the back of the room who everyone ignored. They were the small creatures that bigger species laughed at. They were the prey that every predator thought would be easy to catch. But they were also the ones who survived, the ones who never gave up, the ones who carried the memory of a time when they had to fight for every breath. And when the masks came off, when the kindness faded, when the true nature of humanity emerged, even the apex predators stepped back. Looked at Ho. He stood by the window watching the stars. His face was calm. His body was still. He looked like nothing special at all. She smiled. She was beginning to appreciate the trick. Because now she knew the truth. The most dangerous things in the universe did not need to look dangerous. They did not need to roar or flex or show their teeth. They just needed to wait and watch and never ever stop. That was what humans were. That was what Ho was. And now he was hers. The rescue ship flew on through the darkness of space, carrying a princess who had learned to see, and a human who had finally found his purpose. Behind them, on a world full of monsters, the creatures of 7 told stories to their children. Stories about a small creature who walked without fear. Stories about a predator from a distant world who spoke the language of death. Stories about the human they would never forget. And in the shadows of the jungle, even the apex predators listened. Because they remembered. They remembered what happened when they tried to stand in his way. And they would never make that mistake again.